Hey guys, welcome back to Fable Stan, and this is Kim. So today I'm going to do something fun. I'm going to answer 10 questions about tarot decks. So the questions would include stuff like what's your one true soulmate deck, what are some of the decks you go to when we have specific questions, and your top 5, your least favorite deck, and stuff like that. So fun questions about tarot decks or your tarot collection. And the reason why I wanted to do this was because I'm a deck junkie, and that means that I am super addicted to collecting tarot decks and I can't seem to stop. Yeah, so I decided to do a video tag for just tarot decks, because I remember a while ago Arwen started a tag, I think it was the Arwen's Tarot 10 tag, where you answer 10 fun questions about tarot and yourself as a tarot reader, and I think there was another one before that. That one I didn't do, I did Arwen's tag. But yeah, I want to do a deck tag. Deck. Oh god, that sounded like progressively more wrong each time I said it. But I want to do a tag just on tarot cards. Tarot decks. There you go. So yeah, I hope you participate and make sure you use the hashtag. It's included in the description box and probably on the video title, and the 10 questions will be also in the description box. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this activity, and here we go. Okay, so the first question is, what is your one deck? Like your one soulmate, truly it's the one deck that speaks to you so much that you just want to hug it to death. So for me, you probably guessed, woohoo, so unexpected, is the Dreaming Way Tarot, haha, as of like, oh, I never talked about this on my channel before. But yeah, Dreaming Way is my soulmate deck. I call it my soulmate deck just because I've already said enough things about Dreaming Way, but it just, it's Victorian art, it's fairy tale-esque spirit, like the urban fantasy parts of it. It's just like so many parts of me in one deck, and I just really wish I could meet the person who created this deck and just like give them a bear hug and just hug them to death or something, I don't know. But yeah, this is my soulmate deck, this is my go-to deck, this is my all-time favorite. Okay, so question 2, you have to pick your top 5 tarot decks. So in no particular order, my top 5 is excluding Dreaming Way, because this is like top 1, it's like the top 0, I don't know, it's like it can't be ranked because it's so sacred. But yeah, my top 5 excluding Dreaming Way is, again in no particular order, so one of my all-time favorite decks, another all-time favorite deck, is the Steampunk Tarot by Barbara Moore and Ali Fell. So, like I said, I love Victorian literature, I love the genre steampunk, I love the historical reinvention and that aspect of it, and the reason why I love Victorian literature is because, or steampunk in particular, it's because it has a lot of female characters, or female protagonists, that are sort of fighting against societal norms, especially during that time. Everything was really gendered. When you were, like, if you were a woman, you didn't have a lot of power. You really have to exist in a context of men or just your male relatives. So I really love the rebellious characters in steampunk, especially the female characters. It speaks to me a lot. And of course I love the art, and I just love the action driven, the adventurous spirit of it. And I'm going to talk about this deck in another question actually, but definitely this is one of my favorite decks. Like, it's so filled with story, great female characters, really great female agency in this deck. And yeah, so that's my first one. And my second one is Mystical Cast Tarot. And again, I love this deck for just how story driven it is. Like, it has reinterpreted suits. So instead of cups and pentacles, you have like fire and the suit of the sea. And then the 4 suits are sort of reinterpreted into like different clans or different elemental clans for cats. And I just really love the thematic sort of the felineness of it. Just like all the major arcana reinterpreted into cats, and then just it's sort of like you're viewing human archetypes from a world in a world of cats, and then it's just really fascinating because it's almost like channeling the cat archetype, and then which is awesome because cats are really unapologetic, they're really confident, they don't give a crap. I think this deck speaks to me a lot in that way, just because it really helps me channel that really unapologetic feline spirit. And also, of course, I have a cat, his name is Professor, and cats are cute, so that's another reason, if not the only reason. Yeah, so Mystical Cast Tarot, it's freaking awesome. So my third favorite deck is the OZ69 Tarot. I've been meaning to do a review of this deck. It's by a Taiwanese artist, and her sort of artist name or pen name is like or pseudonym, yeah, is Nine Cats Wu. And this is kind of has like a manga style art. It's also sort of takes place in the fantastical universe where you see a lot of tropes in anime, and you also see a lot of like the mystical elements sort of within the context of an anime, but it's not too anime-ish though. But yeah, like a lot of the archetypes speak to me. It has like some sci-fi elements to it as well, so also love the great sense of adventure. You can probably tell like what's the common denominator when it comes to my favorite decks. It's just like if they're really fantastical, have really great world building and story, then it's usually something I would like. My number 4, it's not ranked number 4, it's just the 4th deck. Oops, I grabbed the wrong bag. But this is another one of my favorite decks. It's the Heavenly Elf Tarot. It's unfortunately out of print, so I'm sorry for showing that deck to you and then just telling you that it's out of print. I feel cruel, I am sorry. But this is my 4th deck. This is the Magical Forest Tarot, and this is the Taiwanese edition. And I got it in Taiwan, when it was in Taiwan. So I love this deck because I love animal archetypes and animal imageries, and being the Magical Forest Tarot, everything in there is, you know, like animal characters, and then love the soft pastel colors. It's slightly muted, and I just love how whimsical it is. You know, that's another thing of mine. Like, I really love whimsical decks and whimsical stories, whimsical literature, whimsical songs. I think it's just because I'm such a, I don't know, I feel like I have a whimsical personality. I like quirky things, kind that are kind of slightly weird. You can't place it in the system, and it's sort of like out there. There's this like sort of inner child fairy tale vibe, but at the same time there's like this darkness to it. So yeah, I really love this deck. This deck isn't dark in particular, but yeah, I just definitely love the animal imageries in there. Okay, so my number 5 is a new favorite. It's a deck that my good friend gave me recently. It's the Astera Tarot, and again I love this because of the animal imageries in there. I love animal archetypes. Blah. Like, I could choke. But yeah, I just really love, like, I remember there's this one card that really caught my attention. It was the 4 or 8 of Pentacles, and it features a rabbit or bunny pirate steering a ship and then looking all fierce and stuff. So I thought I just immediately fell in love with this deck. And another one of my favorite cards from this deck is the Death card. I think it was like the skeleton creature collecting bottles of smaller creatures and just putting them on display, and I really love that image because I feel like the Devil card for me represents the shadow in our psyche, and then collecting those little things and putting them in a jar, it's almost saying like, you have no power over me. And working with your shadows, really just examining those parts of yourself, kind of just putting them, like collecting them and then just putting them on your shelf and just looking at how they have impacted you, how they can be integrated, and what you can learn from them. So I really love the vibe of that card. And not to mention the art is just really amazing. So yeah, that's my top 5 right now. The first 4 that I mentioned are all-time favorites, and Astera is kind of like a new one, and then they tend to fluctuate depending on my mood and what I'm going through in life, but definitely love those 5 decks, and there's like a lot of more decks that I love. Too bad I can't do like top 10. That's gonna be like a separate video. But yeah, so that's my top 5, and I'm only on question 2. So question 3, I promise this is the last one that's sort of like a bit chunky. The rest are just more rapid fire. So the third question is, what decks do you tend to go to when you're doing career readings, love and relationship readings, or just a general reading, or like a spiritual reading? So, you know, do you like assign different themes or purposes or usages depending on the decks that you have? So I definitely like would ask certain specific decks for specific questions. For example, if I have to ask a career related question or something about, you know, like a creative project or like a career pursuit, I would definitely go for the Steampunk Tarot, just because it's just like, you know, as a female person, I can really relate to the strong female characters in there, and it's just got such a great spirit of adventure. I remember like the 6 of Swords card from this deck it's instead of this aimless drifting, you see like an airship charging forward. So it's kind of like you don't know where you're going, but you're still driven by that spirit of adventure. You're still driven by like that desire to discover the unknown, even though you don't exactly know where you're going. So it's just so purpose driven, and it just feels like a straight arrow, just like, you know, you really get pumped when you do career readings with the steampunk tarot, just because like, oh, and also because steampunk has a lot of machine imagery, so that just really has a great working vibe. And I don't know, it just fits perfectly. For love and relationships readings, I don't really have a specific deck, just because I feel like when it comes to love and relationship, it's just kind of like, I kind of see that just as a self-reading. It's just another form of learning something about yourself. It's like person-centered. It's not really about like relationship as a topic, if that makes sense. So love and relationship readings, I usually just go to my go-to deck, which is Dreaming Way. And or just whatever decks I feel like it's kind of like pulling me at the moment, but I don't really have a specific deck for love and relationships. Just because I always view my relationships sort of like as lessons I have to overcome, or just in the context of myself, if that makes sense. Okay, general readings, definitely Dreaming Way. Sometimes I use the Magical Forest Tarot, just because it's one of the earliest decks that I've ever got. You know, like it's been with me for a long time, so it really speaks to me and has that sort of old friend familiar vibe. So sometimes that's the deck I go to, but usually my go-to deck for general readings are Dreaming Way, and then it would be Universal Fantasy Tarot, which is like another one of my favorites, which I'm going to talk about probably. Oh wait, I think I totally missed it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I talked about 5 decks. What did I miss? I was going to talk about Universal Fantasy Tarot as one of my top 5 decks, but I think I missed it somehow. But yeah, that's also on my top 5. 6 decks on my top 5. That's cheating. But yeah, for spiritual related questions, you know, things about, I guess, like really deep questions, like really deep shadow work questions, like things about karma, things about like the deep, like those profound lessons that sort of underlie all the events or all your experiences and your grand purpose or something like that, you know, like the really big, profound philosophical questions that you want to ask yourself or you want to ask a deck. I would go for the Wild Unknown, just because it's so abstract, and it also has this like into the woods type of feeling, and again also has animal imagery, and it's just so raw but so delicate and graceful at the same time. It really brings out that feeling of like you're really embarking on a profound journey deep into yourself, into the woods that is your spirit, that is your psyche, your shadow, and you're trying to find your way in that wood. You're trying to navigate across these projections, these shadows, these things that don't really have a form, you know. You're trying to figure out, like, you're trying to kind of extract meaning from those abstract things. Question number 4. All right, so the first, or number 2 and number 3, they're kind of chunkier questions, but here's the 4th question, and the rest of it is pretty quick, I promise. So the 4th question is, do you have a pet oracle or a pet tarot reader that sort of intervenes or interrupts your reading? So by this I mean, like, do you have a cat that always shows up when you're doing a tarot reading? Do you have a dog that always calls for your attention when you're doing a tarot reading? Or do they even point out cards to you and help you do the reading? I hear a lot of stories about cats showing up for readings, but for me, my cat, he doesn't really care. He's not really interested in tarot cards. He sifts them and sometimes takes a chomp when the paper smells really good, but he's not really interested in divination. Maybe he's so enlightened that he doesn't bother with the divinatory tools of humankind, or he's like beneath them or something. I don't know. I think he's just disinterested. So yeah, I don't have like funny stories other than that he chews on my cards sometimes, but he doesn't destroy anything. He doesn't ruin my cards. I see a lot of those stories as well, especially dogs. Dogs chew up cards or tarot mats and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't have a cat. I don't have a cat oracle. So not a lot of quirky stories on my end, sorry, but hopefully you have some great stories to tell, and I look forward to hearing them. Question number 5. What is your tarot deck wish list? Oh my god, I swear I'm not gonna get too detailed with this question, but here's my top 5. So this is my tarot deck wish list. Game of Thrones tarot, that's one of them, and I'm not sure if it's the first one, but yeah. So I also want Prisma Visions. It's pretty high up on my list. I would love the Sasurai Bito tarot. And I would love to have the Crystal Unicorn Tarot by Pamela Chan, which is coming out next year. I would love the Delos Tarot just because it's by a Korean artist, and it's just like the images are so cute, and it's also got that Asian kawaii-ness, if you will. I think it's a tie between Mystical Manga and Lumina Tarot. That is the five tarot decks that I really want. Question number 6. One gorgeous deck that you love the art but you just can't connect with. So for this one, now I have the Shadowscapes Tarot, and it's not that I can't completely connect with it. It's just a little bit distant, and I kind of have to be in the mood for it. For example, I did a reading for a client where I have to talk about Phoenix, and then I have to tap into the lore of Phoenix, and it's got this really strong mystical folklore-y vibe, and immediately I knew I was going to use the Shadowscapes Tarot just because it just seems so fitting. Number 7. What is your favorite deck with renamed systems and titles, and why? So I already talked about this deck. It's the Mystical Cast Tarot, and a lot of the major arcana have been renamed. For example, I believe the Strength card, instead of the Strength card, is called the Good Kitty, or that might be the Judgment card. Okay, Strength is still a Strength card. The Judgment card is the Good Kitty, and then I think the Wheel of Fortune is renamed to Wheel, and I think there was like some other differences. But yeah, I think the major difference is definitely the core cards and the minor arcana. For the core cards, instead of pages, knights, queens, and kings, the Mystical Cast Tarot have the kitten, Tom, queens, and kings. I love it because it's just such an interesting world to be part of, and it just, the decks that I really love are usually really unique in their world building, and Mystical Cast Tarot definitely fits that bill. Okay, so number 8. What is your least favorite deck and why? Easy, it's the Black Cast Tarot. I was actually pretty excited to get this deck just because I love cats, and I've been collecting cat-themed decks ever since I started collecting decks, and I just was so disappointed with this deck just because like the humanoid cat images are just not really vibing with me, and then they're just so strange, and I just don't like the way the cats, how their bodies are, just because they look really human, and then they don't wear clothes, and just really weird. And then the card that really just completely threw me off, I might have complained about this before, but it was the World card. A black cat becoming a white cat, shedding skin to become a white cat. And it just symbolically, I just don't really like the message that it's sending, just because I guess it's trying to use color to show that you're shedding your skin to become something more pure. When it comes to cats, the color of your fur or the color of your breed, it's part of who you are, and then you don't change. It's just rational in my mind. But yeah, that's the deck I'm a bit iffy about. Number 9, favorite Oracle deck. So I know it's kind of cheating, but I have 2. My all-time favorite is Wisdom. Oh no, the all-time favorite is the Enchanted Map, just because I really love the metaphors and the extended metaphors. It's the metaphor of the journey, and in which you have a map to navigate across different challenges, difficulties, and then you try to find your way. It's like wayfinding, and it's really like one of the central metaphors on my spirituality. So I love that deck to bits. At the moment though, I'm really drawn to Wisdom of the Oracle by the same author, Colette Baron-Reid, and she's super awesome. I think she just we just share similar metaphors when it comes to viewing the spiritual journey or the journey of life. Like just this metaphor of the journey, like it's just really great. So last question before this video gets too long. If you were to create your own deck or your dream deck, what would it be? What kind of images would you have? What kind of themes would that deck embody? What messages do you want to be sort of kind of packaged or delivered through the images of that deck? Like what kind of deck would it be? For me, definitely something very cute, very whimsical with like some humor, but definitely not short of its darkness. And I actually did sort of participate in create a deck. I mentioned it before. So I took part in an International Tarot Day deck. I was actually gonna put up an unboxing video of this deck, but it was just so poorly filmed. I kept switching camera angles and it was just really gross. So I decided that I'm gonna take some time, just not post that video and then just make a new video, just gonna review this deck and actually do like a proper video because I actually have better camera equipment now. So here are 2 cards that I made. There's one more in there, and that one is like before I got into digital painting. So I'll just show these 2. So yeah, something like this, really like light colors, really cute colors, and then featuring sort of weird, blobby, cute creatures, and with, you know, donuts as like the pentacles. So something like this, very cute, very whimsical, still has a symbolism, but I think definitely like I want to do some cute, gothic, disturbing darkness stuff, because I feel like that could be part of my style. If you follow me on Instagram, I posted a few creepy, cute pictures before. You know, I definitely want to embody the darker aspects of the human experience too, so I don't want to just be all fluffin', cute and kawaii. But yeah, and for me, definitely I want to put my handprint on it. I don't want to just do like a Rider Waite copy, you know, where everything's just same. I just make everything cute, and in my art style, I definitely want to portray the symbols or portray the archetypes in a way that I understand them, because it's my deck, right? So yeah, so that would be my dream deck. Okay, so those are the tarot deck 10 questionnaire, I don't know what to call it. And yeah, so hopefully you'll participate, post your video response, or do like a tag, use a tag on the description box. And the video title, I haven't exactly decided what a tag is going to be yet. And you have to double check if it's used or if it's been used or not. But yeah, the questions are in the description box again, and I hope you will join me in sharing with the world your favorite decks and maybe your least favorite decks. Oh, and also before you go, I just want to let you know that I actually started a mini product line of tarot merchandise on Zazzle. So basically what I do is I upload my designs and upload my doodles. Definitely more doodles are coming up right now. It's a lot of text-based stuff, like a mug that says tarot reader, or a mug that says I love tarot, or like a bag that says light worker with some designs on it. It's really cool. So go check it out if you're looking for some tarot themed merchandise for your tarot reader friends or just for yourself. You know, Christmas is coming, so you know, it's kind of great to have like a physical thing about tarot to hold within your hands that's not like a deck or a reading, right? So go check it out. You can come support me in my shop. I really don't make a lot of money from it. Really just like, it's print on demand, made on demand. I earn like a tiny % of royalty. So I just thought it would be fun to have some tarot merch, and go support me if you're interested in picking up some tarot merchandise. And yeah, so that's my tarot deck 10, and I hope you enjoyed it. Again, this is Kim or Kimberly, and I will see you next time. Definitely have more awesome stuff planned. For example, I have lots of pet and animal communication stuff coming up, and more tarot worksheets, journals, toolkits, that kind of stuff. So more awesome stuff coming on this channel and across my platforms. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And keep calm and tarot on. Be the hero of your own story. La-di-da. Enjoy the autumn before it gets cold. And don't ever forget that you are awesome. Whoa, my muscles are starting to show.